one of the major problems for the institution of marriage these days is like the quality of women is too low. You can't marry them, and I do hear that a lot. And the thing is, even that I think is partially true. But the other part that we're leaving out is that the quality of men is also
right.
Is that the quality of people right now?
Right.
We live in a culture that does not exactly encourage virtue.
Commences a divorce action is not always, I would even say not often, an indicator of who wanted to end the marriage. It just means who filed the paperwork. So if a woman marries a man and she realizes, hey, I've cashed out everything I can for this guy and now I want to bounce on the relationship, I'm filing a divorce action. You're right, if 73% of divorces were commenced by women under those circumstances, that's a strong argument. 50% would be a strong argument.
Yeah, and it's certainly true that men suffer all kinds of unfair disadvantages in the system. I take no issue with that at all. That does need to be talked about. One of the things I take issue with is when the argument seems to be not just that women have unfair advantages. Yes, let's talk about that, but that somehow one of the major problems for the institution of marriage these days is like the quality of women is too low. You can't marry them, and I do hear that a lot. And the thing is, even that I think is partially true. But the other part that we're leaving out is that the quality of men is also
right.
Is that the quality of people right now?
Right.
We live in a culture that does not exactly encourage virtue.
That's true. When you think about it, we have a lot of men coming out to say, where are the good women? Where are the good men? You just hear that every day. And then you have a set of women coming out to say, where are the good men? And you discover that this is more like a lack of quality in both sides of the argument. Men want good women and women want good men. But then you discover that even the people making the demands of what they want are not even ready to give exactly even more of those things that they're demanding for. It's all about that selfish desire of, oh, I want a good man, I want a good woman. But you discover that the quality of those seeking this goodness in others doesn't even measure up to what they are looking for. That's what we have today. That's why the whole debate is happening. The quality and the standard of dating today is in the pit of hell. Seriously.
And it encourages a form of like individualism above all else,
right,
which is antagonistic to marriage. Like marriage is about, parenting is about, my will is not the most important thing. I am not the sun around which everything rotates now. Like I'm going to make this person my person and I'm going to tie my destiny to theirs. I'm going to make, my heart is walking around. When you have kids, like you realize that, I remember my grandmother saying to me when my son, who's now 27, when he was, little. And I just said to her, like, God, I never thought I could love something as much as I love this kid. And she was like, yeah, your heart's walking around, and to do that, you have to have some defined sense of self, but not such a defined, rigid sense of self that self is the only thing. We've done such self-esteem work over the last 15 years that what do we esteem other than the self anymore? What do we serve other than the self anymore? And so, yeah, marriage definitely doesn't fit into that equation. But maybe marriage is a solution to that equation. Maybe marriage is a way for people to sort of say, hey, I'm not the most important thing. And that maybe if I make this other person a real priority and they do the same for me and we have this beautiful symbiosis where we see each other's blind spots and we're committed to each other, hard times and easy times, maybe that is a solution to some of the problems that we're in.
So this is why the only people who are able to have a successful marriage are people who are selfless. You cannot go into marriage and expect to see success in that marriage when you approach it from a place of selfishness. What does even selfishness, what does selfishness mean? It means that you are coming there and it's all about you. What do I stand to gain from this marriage? What does this man get to give to me? What does this woman get to give to me? It's all about yourself. You're just thinking about what you gain in that relationship. And even when you go into arguments, when you're having disagreements, it's all about you wanting to win. Everything is all about you. But if you really understand what marriage is supposed to be, if you understand marriage at its core, marriage is supposed to be somewhere you come together with your partner and both of you serve each other, both of you pour into each other, both of you try to meet each other's needs. Like if you go there selflessly and you're looking to better this man's life and you're looking to better this woman's life and they are trying to do the same, you get to discover that you get everything you want. I say it this way, the best marriage, the best relationship is usually between two unapologetic givers, people who actually want to serve each other, people who are not so absorbed in their own interest, who are not just coming to marriage because of what they stand to gain or what they want to gain, but who are coming there because they want to give the other person. And when we even talk about it, what is love? Most times we say love, oh, you have to love me, I love you, and we tell people that we love them, but we don't actually love people when we say it, because if you actually love somebody, love means doing something for somebody else, not necessarily what you stand to give. The Bible said that for God so loved the world that he gave. That means if you love somebody, you're giving to them. If you love your cat, you're taking care of your cat. If you love your dog, you're taking care of your dog. If you love your car, you're taking care of your car. These are the things you do when you say you love. Love has nothing to do with taking. Love is all about giving. But today, when people profess, I love you, but then all they care about is, what do I get from this? You cannot make marriage work that way. And that's what he's saying. Selfishness. You come in and then you decide to serve. And that's how you have a successful marriage.
But, again, I mean, where I think I bump into a lot of issues is there's a lot of discourse about, why women commence more divorces than men. And there's a lot of discourse about the impact of no-fault divorce. And these are all things that I think get thrown into this dialogue and weaponized in ways that aren't honest and aren't effective, because they're used by people on, the let's say the red pill space, or, whatever we want to call it, to say, well, oh, you can't marry women because, look, women commence divorce actions, and 73% of divorces are commenced by women. So that means women are coming into the casino, making all the money that they can, and then cashing their chips out 73%.
Why does that statistic is true, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I've never believed in that statistics because it's just weird. It's because it has to do with two people. Marriage has to do with two people. So when you say it's initiated by women more, yes, probably true, but something has to be the cause. It might not necessarily be just the woman. It probably could be the man. So that's why that particular statistics has just been something I've not been able to hold dear to, because I don't think it's entirely true based on the perspective that I think it's subject to interpretation by whoever wants to use it. Anybody can interpret it any way they want to.
How is that not a sort of indictment on the way that women approach marriage?
Facts all come with points of view, and here's the thing that maybe a divorce lawyer sees that other people don't see. Who commences a divorce action is not always, I would even say not often, an indicator of who wanted to end the marriage.
Exactly.
It just means who filed the paperwork. So if a woman marries a man and she realizes, hey, I've cashed out everything I can for this guy and now I want to bounce on the relationship, I'm filing a divorce action. You're right. If 73% of divorces were commenced by women under those circumstances, that's a strong argument. 50% would be a strong argument. The reality is, much more frequently than that, I see a guy who runs off with his secretary, stops paying any expenses related to the residence. He's been the breadwinner of the family for so many years, and he's not going to just set up like a franchise. Like, he's leaving this wife and 2 kids, and, a man who leaves his wife for his mistress just leaves a job opening. So now he's going to go to the mistress, and he's going to have a family with her now, but he's not going to take care of his responsibilities towards the family he already has. What does that woman do? She comes into my office and she says, help. The mortgage isn't being paid. He changed the utilities to my name. I don't have a job, or I have a job as a teacher part-time because I've been raising our children. What do I do? And I have to say to her, you have to file for divorce. And she says, well, I don't want a divorce. I'm not the one who wanted a divorce. I want to figure out a way to reconcile. I want to go to counseling. I want to work it out. I'll forgive him for the transgression if we could just figure it out for our kids. But the problem is, you can't force someone to stay married to you. You can't force someone to come back home and pay the bills unless you've filed a divorce action. So we file divorce actions all the time for people who do not want to get divorced, but who are in a position. I can't just go to court without an action and say, Judge, can you issue an order? I have to have an underlying action, and the action is an action for divorce. So that's why that statistic is so wildly misleading. Now, again, I'm not saying that there aren't plenty of examples of women taking the advantages that the system gives to them financially or when it comes to custody, and weaponizing that against men. But you cannot just look at that statistic and say, oh, that's proof that women are cashing out of marriages. I cannot tell you how many clients, how many women in a 25-year career, just in my office, I have seen who do not want to commence a divorce action. They want to figure it out. They want to reconcile. They want to go to mediation if they are going to split up. They want to be friendly and figure it out. But the only way to get a judge involved and temporary orders in place is by filing something.
The interesting thing about this is that because women are more vocal, because they tend to share or sometimes even overshare, and men hardly even share anything, it's always the women who get villainized sometimes. I mean, the men do some in occasions. But what I'm trying to say in essence is this. A lot of times, so many men are not faithful. They're not faithful in their marriage. Like he pointed out, they're not faithful in their marriage. They are sleeping around. They're doing so many other things. And somebody who genuinely wants to keep their marriage, sometimes they are willing to take the nonsense and forgive you just to continue. But because sometimes some men don't know when they are wrong or when what they are doing wrong. It's not like they don't know. They know, but for some reason, it doesn't click in their head until the woman files for a divorce. That's when everything now flashes before his eyes. He realizes what he's going to lose. He realizes how it's going to maybe ruin his life. And then he wants to wake up and start changing things. But at that moment, it's late, because sometimes women don't give up as quick as men do, in the sense that they probably will try and try and try, and they will mentally check out, and they are planning for their exit at that point. So even when they finally exit, you'll be shocked. Oh, what happened? No, it has been happening for a long time. Just that you as a man, you are not paying attention. And when that happens, you're shocked. So men sometimes they because they don't most times initiate the divorce, so they probably don't want to do anything, because also it's also about societal thing. Like, just imagine somebody says, oh, your wife cheated on you and I forgive her. The society will come for you. They'll be like, why would you forgive her? Because that's the whole point where we start talking about all these things about men don't forgive cheating, but they expect women to forgive it. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes those statistics, I don't usually buy into it, because it's just a measure of number of people that have been counted. I don't know how they got this. I know there are probably laws, especially in the United States, where these things happen. But I mean, we are human beings. We're all over the world. There are so many countries where it could be men initiating this divorce and stuff like that. But what we have come to realize is that we live in a world where we use US standards to judge these things, and it doesn't make any sense. So for me, I think, yes, women might initiate more divorce, even if it is 50%. But then, as long as it's between two people who can wrong each other, you can't really say that because she initiated the divorce, that means she is the problem or women are the problem.
How often do you think, because the hypothetical scenario you just laid out there seems like a pretty clear good guy versus bad guy scenario.
Yeah.
Of course, I guess
It's pretty common.
pretty common. And if this is a real life scenario, and we were to go talk to the man, he might say something like, well, yeah, I did move out of the house, but for 10 years before that, she was whatever. She was emotionally withdrawn.
Sure.
It was a dead marriage. It was,
Sure.
Not that would justify what he did, but
They would say that.
so I guess my question is, in your experience, how often in a broken marriage is there a clear, this guy or this woman is wrong and this one's right? Or is it always just a jumble of both sides are wrong?
You know, I often say that the truth is at the bottom of a bottomless pit when it comes to marriage, because I feel like if you say, it's one of the reasons why no fault caught on, because fault-based divorce got everybody really caught up, especially the lawyers, in proving whose fault it was that you were going to get divorced. And it really was exactly the discussion. I mean, sometimes you have the perfect villain and the perfect, victim, but a lot of the time there's complexity to it. It's, well, he was sleeping with this person, right? But that's because, you weren't sleeping with him. Well, I wasn't sleeping with him because he never talks to me. Well, I don't talk to you because all you do is fight when we talk. And it's like you kind of go, all right, well, you're right. Like, none of the things you guys did were the solution. Like, the solution was not stop talking to him completely. And then it wasn't stop sleeping with him. And then it wasn't stop, so you should sleep with somebody else. Like, there were ways to solve this, that didn't involve letting it metastasize in the way that it has. But, I do think sometimes it's not that nuanced. I mean, I've said before that, there's 10 commandments in the Bible, and 2 of them are don't sleep with people other than your spouse. I mean, thou shalt not kill got 1. But don't covet your neighbor's wife and don't commit adultery. It's like God was saying, like, don't steal, don't bear false witness against your neighbor, don't sleep with someone you're not married to. Seriously, don't sleep with someone you're not married to. And I think this shows you how long this has been a problem, a real problem in societies, all kinds of societies: infidelity, adultery, our inability or unwillingness to control our sexual desires, And sometimes you see pretty clear examples of that in divorces where people are just, running around like they weren't married. You're seeing it more in the modern culture where there's really not people aren't like put up as heroes for being fidelitous in their marriage and being dedicated to their kids. It's not.
And it's interesting because what he basically said there is, yeah, there's no bad guy in most cases, because when you start looking for a bad guy, everybody has issue. And that's the nature of human being. There's always an issue somewhere. Like, most times people do things to hurt their partners, and when they do it, then they want to pay back. All this thing they call revenge cheating. You've heard that before, where maybe the man cheats and then the woman has to cheat to revenge the cheating. And when those things start happening, you start saying that, why are you guys doing this to each other? Like, if it's not working, then it's not working. You don't have to become a bad guy to match the energy. It's not about matching energy. And I love the part he said, the 10 commandments. Don't sleep with your neighbor. Don't sleep with another man's wife or another woman's husband, because this thing messes up everything. Everybody gets hurt when these things happen, because even fornication, even sleeping before you get married, sleeping together, all these things are things we need to avoid, because they have repercussions at the end of the day. Because somebody who is sleeping with people, you slept with multiple people, now you go into your marriage and you're comparing the experience you are having right now with what you used to have, and if it doesn't match up, then you start looking for other means to satisfy yourself, and then you probably move outside and cheat on your wife or cheat on your husband. So we need to put some boundaries, some guardrails to help us not become these people that we're not supposed to be because of sexual satisfaction. Don't destroy your marriage because of sexual satisfaction. Find a way to improve your marriage. That's the whole point.
It really is sexy of a thing, as like, yeah, I moved on. I defined who I truly was. And again, there's a gender imbalance there too. A man has an affair, he's a lying scumbag. A woman has an affair, it's the guy's fault most of the time. Well,
I see this one a lot, and it drives me crazy whenever I see this, because it's like when there's domestic violence and it's a man on a woman, the man goes to jail immediately, or like the man, nobody asks any other question, like he did it. When a woman does it, they start asking, what did he do to make that happen? Like, what was his crime? What has he done to get her to that point to be that way? When a man cheats, he cheats. He's a bad guy. Yeah. When a woman cheats, it's like, what has he done to drive her away to that point she had to cheat? It's that double standard we're talking about in the society, which doesn't make any sense, which is wrong in every sense of it. You shouldn't be cheating on your spouse. That's the end of discussion. And when people cheat, they have cheated, no matter what excuse you want to make for it. Whether the man did something or whether the woman did something to result to that, it doesn't matter. People cheat because they want to cheat. It's as simple as that. Somebody who doesn't have the nature of cheating, or somebody who doesn't want to cheat, or somebody who is not a cheater, will never cheat no matter what. So all these excuses, oh, what has he done? No, see, if you're tired of the relationship, if you're tired of the marriage, find your way out. If they're cheating on you, yeah, you don't have to cheat back. You don't have to say, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. No, it doesn't make any sense.
He pushed her into the arms of another man. She had to figure out who she was. She had to find comfort. She's human. She deserves comfort. If I dared in court to say, well, of course my client slept with his secretary, he needed comfort. He's human. He was an eat, pray, love kind of a journey. I'd be held in contempt. But, in the modern time, this is an acceptable argument to make.
It's certainly true that for men, infidelity can never be a journey. That's
no, ever.
Only women can go on those kinds of journeys.
Yeah.
It's actually so interesting how these conversations go down, because divorce is rising. It's on the increase in our generation, and we really need to be careful. Like you've heard from this video, you cannot go into marriage being a selfish person. You cannot do that. You cannot go into marriage thinking it's all about you, because if you do that, you will end up divorced. You have to actually take your time and understand what it takes to be in a healthy marriage, and then find somebody who genuinely wants to be in a healthy marriage. Because I love this conversation because it opens our eyes to so many things. And I'm just hoping that somebody out there listens to this and understand all these things. Forget about all these statistics that are put out there. Oh, women do it, and now you are afraid of getting married. Oh, I don't want her to leave. I don't want her to take my property. The truth is that, yes, it might be bad, but if you do the work, if you do the right thing, then the chances are higher for you that you wouldn't be among the statistics. And also, all these women fight for divorce. Now you've heard it. It's not just because the woman filed the divorce. It could be that the man was doing something wrong. I have more of this clip coming up. I have another part, probably 2 and 3 and 4, maybe. I kind of just have to break them down, but I have more coming, and I want you to stay tuned. I want you to learn. I want you to know these things, because it's very, very important for you to get into a healthy marriage and do the right thing for you to stay in that marriage for a long time, hopefully till death do you part. If you love this video, do well to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you're notified when the next video goes up. Like this video and leave a comment below what you think about this conversation. What did you learn from this video? What's the important thing that you got out of the video? I want to hear you in the comments. All right, let's go.